based on Carl Jung's wisdom. Have you ever felt that the more you share about what you're going through, the less you're understood? That the more you explain your pain, your dreams, your plans, the smaller it all becomes, the weaker you feel, and the harder it gets to move forward. There is a deep reason behind this, and Carl Jung knew it well. Jung discovered that we have an unconscious need to validate our existence through others. We seek approval, understanding, and company, and in doing so, often give away our power. Every time you share the sacred details of your life without discernment, you hand over something sacred, your inner energy. And while it may seem harmless, it has a cost. Because what you tell, you give away, and what you give away no longer belongs solely to you. Silence. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. The strongest people are not those who speak the most about their process. They are the ones who live it in quiet determination, because they know their inner battles don't need witnesses. They need victories. Today, Jung invites us to walk a different path, one that doesn't rely on outer noise, but on inner awakening. Let us open 15 lessons that will show you why timely silence is one of the most powerful acts you can practice, and how this silence can become your greatest tool for transformation. But before we begin, remember this: what is not spoken is nurtured, and what is nurtured in secret manifests with power in the visible. If you're ready to stop explaining and start building, this message is for you. Stay with me until the end. What you hear might forever change how you see your life, your relationships, and your purpose. Lesson 1. Words reveal more than you think. Every time you speak, you leave an imprint, not only on others, but within yourself. Jung said that when you voice an emotion or experience, you bring it out of the unconscious into the external world. This can help you, or it can weaken you. It all depends on when, how, and to whom you say it. Have you ever shared something important, only to feel regret, as if you lost a part of yourself? That's no accident. That's your inner voice telling you, this moment was yours alone, and you gave it away too soon. Words carry weight, and if used without awareness, they empty you from within. Silence, on the other hand, protects you. It gives you time, space, and clarity, a chance to feel, to process, to understand, before opening up. We live in a time where we share everything. On social media, in messages, in conversations that go nowhere. But rarely do we pause to ask, do I really need to say this? Or am I speaking because I don't know what to do with what I feel? Learn to observe, to listen to your inner world. Not everything you think needs to be spoken. Some things just need to be understood. Lesson 2. What you keep in silence grows stronger. There is a mysterious power that grows in silence. Jung understood it as soul incubation. When you stop speaking about what you're going through, you begin to live it more deeply. Instead of seeking comfort outside, you begin to seek it within. And this awakens a kind of wisdom few ever discover. Do you know why sometimes you feel more lost after talking about your problems with someone? Because often You're waiting for answers only you can give. Silence makes you face yourself. And in that intimate space, true transformation is born. You don't need others to understand you in order to heal. You need to understand yourself, to make peace with your story, your pain, your doubts. And that process does not need witnesses. It needs commitment. If you can learn to live your inner process without constantly sharing it, you will begin to experience a deeper, stronger peace. A peace that does not depend on anything external. Does this message resonate with you? Then stay with me, because what comes next is even more powerful. And if you believe this can help someone else, share it. You never know who might awaken because of a simple gesture. Lesson 3. The need for approval weakens you. One of the greatest enemies of personal growth is the need to constantly share to gain validation. Jung believed that the human shadow feeds on insecurity, and one of the most common ways this insecurity expresses itself is through the compulsion to speak. When you share what you're doing or feeling with the hope of being understood, accepted, or praised, you allow your identity to depend on others. And that makes you controllable, predictable, and vulnerable. Inner strength is born when you no longer need applause or validation. When you can walk steadily, even when no one sees you. When you can build in silence, even if no one knows. Stop using words as an emotional shield. You don't need to justify yourself. You don't need to convince anyone. Your process is yours, and the more you protect it, the stronger it becomes. Remember this. Those who need to explain themselves the most often understand themselves the least. Because those who truly understand remain silent. Lesson 4. The soul becomes drained when you speak too much. Every word you use carries an energetic cost. We may not see it, but we feel it. Have you ever left a conversation exhausted after speaking at length about your problems? That's emotional depletion. Jung taught that speaking without awareness weakens the soul. Every time you speak your pain without processing it, you reactivate it, you relive it, you make it bigger. This is not about repressing emotions, but about knowing when to speak, to whom, and why. Speaking with wisdom brings relief. Speaking out of habit brings fatigue. Not every wound needs to be shared. Some just need to be held in silence. Deep down, stop talking just to release the pressure. Start observing your feelings. Write them down if needed. Breathe. Welcome their presence. And you'll see how the energy that used to escape through words now becomes inner strength. Lesson 5. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Jung believed that the soul protects itself by setting boundaries, and one of the most important boundaries is knowing who you allow into your emotional space. Not everyone who listens with respect. Some are just curious, others envious, and some use your vulnerability as fuel for judgment or control. Your life is not a show. You don't owe anyone explanations. Only you know what you've been through, what you feel, and how heavy each step can be. To speak too much is to open doors that are hard to close again. And those intrusions often become new wounds. Be selective. Treat your story as something sacred, because it is. Not everyone deserves to know your battles, and even fewer your dreams. Silence is a form of self-respect. Lesson 6. Transformation happens in private. True metamorphosis doesn't happen on stage. It happens in silence, in solitude, in the intimacy of your soul. Jung explained it through the image of the alchemist, who turns lead into gold in the secrecy of the lab. Your evolution works the same way. It is an inner, slow, deep, sacred, and quiet process. When you stop talking about what you're trying to change, you give that change the space it needs to mature. No pressure, no judgment, no outside interference. Important decisions are made in solitude, and so are the greatest breakthroughs. Do it quietly. Do it with intention. And when the transformation is ready, it will speak for itself. If this message moves something within you, take a moment to share it. Today, thousands of people are searching for this kind of truth, and maybe you are the one who can help them find it. Lesson 7. What you hide builds you. Jung taught that the unconscious holds everything we don't say, not as punishment, but as potential. Every thought you choose not to share becomes the raw material for your growth. It's like a seed planted in darkness. You don't see it, you don't hear it, but it lives. And while no one is watching, it begins to root. When you choose to keep your most delicate processes in silence, you create space for them to mature. You protect them from being tainted by the projections or doubts of others. It is there, in that sacred space, that you begin to build yourself. Telling your story can sometimes become a way of escaping it, a justification to avoid facing your inner chaos. But when you dare to remain silent with what you carry within, a powerful transformation begins. You learn to hold your truth without needing anyone to confirm it. Because there is no strength greater than the one who can walk with their shadow and still move in light. Lesson 8. Not everything needs to be explained. The human soul is a mystery. Jung knew this better than most. Not everything follows visible logic. Not everything you feel can be explained. And that's okay. It gives your emotions room to breathe without needing to name them. It gives dignity to your pain, respect to your path. Some moments in life are not meant to be told. They are meant to be felt. Sometimes, the wisest thing is not to speak. When you accept that you don't have to explain yourself, you gain freedom, and in that freedom, you grow. Lesson 9. An overflow of words disconnects you. One of the most common traps of modern life is speaking so much you forget how to feel. Jung saw this as a form of psychological defense, a way to avoid turning inward. And worse, the more you speak, the further you drift from yourself. Think about it. How many times have you explained your feelings, but felt no better? How often have you repeated the same thing to different people, thinking it would bring you peace, but it didn't? Because words don't always free us. Sometimes they just distract us. Silence demands presence. It invites you to stop looking for answers outside and start feeling them within. When you learn to be with yourself without needing to speak, you restore your connection to your soul. You don't need to speak more to heal. You need to listen more to yourself. Lesson 10. True strength returns in secret. There's a reason why sages have always been quiet. Jung sensed it. True strength is not loud. It's something you feel, something that builds in secret and reveals itself quietly. Many believe that sharing everything is authenticity, but that's a misunderstanding. Authenticity isn't about exposing yourself. It's about consistency. You don't need to talk about your process to make it real. You don't need to show your battles to make them valid. Your strength doesn't depend on who sees it. It depends on how you live it. The greatest power is often invisible, but supports everything. Like the roots of a tree, hidden beneath the surface, but holding the whole structure. That is your process. That is your soul. And that is how your path should be. Deep, quiet, and real. If you understand the depth of these lessons, then you already know why Jung was not just a psychologist, but a teacher of the soul. Silence is not absence. It is pure presence. And when you live in that silence, you begin to hear your truest voice. Lesson 11. Speaking too soon weakens the process. Jung once said, "The soul needs time to organize itself before it can speak." When you share something too early, before you've fully understood it, you expose it to opinions and interpretations that can confuse you even more. Maybe you were looking for comfort and got judgment instead, or wanted clarity and received doubt. This happens when your process is still tender, still forming, like a flower forced to bloom too soon. It withers. Not everything you feel is ready to be spoken. And when the time is right, you'll know. Because you'll share not out of need, but from clarity. Those who can wait in silence become masters of their process. Lesson 12. Silence makes the insecure uncomfortable. Those who are uneasy in their own silence will always be unsettled by yours. When you stop explaining yourself, some will call you distant, closed, cold. But Jung explained this clearly. Silence threatens those who can't face their own. It reminds them of unresolved truths, of inner voids they'd rather avoid. So they fill the air with noise to stay distracted. Don't change yourself to ease someone else's discomfort. You don't owe anyone words to make them feel safe. Your peace matters more than their approval. To dwell in silence with grace is one of the purest forms of freedom. And those who truly value you will understand your silence. Lesson 13. Outer noise muffles intuition. We live in a world that records, posts, and speaks constantly. In this endless noise, we forget something sacred. Your intuition only speaks in silence. Jung believed that every person carries within them an inner compass, a quiet wisdom. It doesn't shout, it whispers, and if you're always talking, explaining, justifying, you'll never hear it. Next time you feel lost, don't rush to speak. Sit with yourself, turn off the world, breathe, listen. At first, you may hear only your mind's chatter, but stay long enough and you'll hear something else. The voice within you, soft but certain, that's your intuition, and it has answers you've never imagined. But it only speaks in silence. Lesson 14. Silence can be your strongest shield. When you're wounded, betrayed, abandoned, or grieving, you may feel the urge to explain, to shout, to be heard. But Jung taught that sometimes silence is not only wise, it is protective. Speaking in pain can make you vulnerable to those who don't deserve your truth. It can turn your healing into entertainment. Silence shields you. It grants you time to see clearly, to heal in peace, and to keep your story sacred, untouched by outside hands. Not everyone deserves to know what you feel. Not everyone will hold your story with care. Protect your sacred moments. You'll heal faster when your process is free from interference. Lesson 15. Silence reveals who you truly are. At the end of it all, when words fall away, only your essence remains. Jung knew this. Silence is not emptiness, it is revelation. When you stop talking about what you do, what you feel, what you dream, you begin to live it. And in that wordless living, your true self rises. You are what you do in solitude. You are what you think when no one sees. You are what you protect without needing to explain. And that is real power. Your silence is not a void. It is sacred ground. And the one who learns to dwell there becomes their own teacher. So now you understand. Choosing not to speak isn't closing off. It's breaking free. It isn't fear. It's wisdom. Not coldness, but strength. Carl Jung didn't teach us to be quiet for silence's sake. He taught us the art of fertile silence, a silence that nourishes, that heals, that transforms. Because what is not spoken grows. What is held with intention becomes wisdom. We live in a world where everyone wants to be heard, but few are brave enough to hear themselves. Everyone wants to speak, but very few want to understand. You can break that cycle. You can choose another way. One more real, more powerful, more free. To be silent doesn't mean to disappear. It means to reappear from your center, from your truth. And when you learn to live without needing to explain everything, something miraculous happens. You no longer need to be understood, because you already understand yourself. You no longer need to prove, because your life speaks for you. You no longer seek approval, because you've given yourself what you once looked for in others. That is strength. That is maturity. That is awakening. These lessons are not rules. They are beacons, guideposts, to help you find yourself in the noise. And if you live them, you'll never be the same. Because those who learn to be silent with wisdom never again beg to be understood. Pause for a moment. Think of all the things you've shared in your life, with friends, family, even strangers. What did you receive in return? Understanding? Relief? Judgment? Indifference? Often, what we share in hopes of healing hurts us more, because not everyone understands the language of your soul. There are things that only you are meant to hold, not because you must carry them alone, but because some parts of your soul were made only for you. Silence doesn't isolate you. It prepares you. It defines you. And when you live this way, you'll realize something even deeper. The real enemy was never another person. It was your need to be understood. The part of you that felt it had to explain, to feel worthy, that was the trap. The day you stop speaking just to feel seen is the day you are truly free. The day you stop using words as crutches and start walking with the strength of your own experience. Because there are silences that are not empty. They are sacred. Sacred pauses where your next level takes root. And in that pause, in that peace, you grow. Jung said we are divided into what we show and what we hide. Balance comes when we learn to honor both. It's not about hiding or withdrawing, it's about choosing wisely, what to share and what to hold. Because some processes don't scream, they worship. And then silence becomes a temple, a place where you restore, where you don't need to pretend, explain, or persuade. Just you, your truth. And the miracle of being real with yourself. That, to stop fighting the part of you that wants to keep some things to itself. Not because it's selfish, but because it's wise. And trust me, when you live like this, everything changes. You become more focused, stronger, clearer. You stop wasting time on empty conversations. You stop giving yourself away to those who can't hold you. And above all, you stop betraying yourself just to fit into places you never belonged. Your silence becomes your new identity. And from there, everything you build becomes more real. So ask yourself, what part of you deserves protection? What process are you living that needs silence, not words? When you find it, give it space, guard it, love it. Because right there is where your new version is being born. If you've come this far, it means something inside you is awakening. Something that no longer wants to live halfway. That no longer wants to talk for acceptance, but to be silent, to be free. This wasn't just a message. It was an invitation, a doorway to a new way of living, more conscious, more rooted, more yours. And now, it's your turn. What will you do with what you've heard?